Look, I feel like I've given you a ton of leeway, and you keep showing up late. Okay, so I can't do it anymore. This is your last warning. Okay.
Yeah, sure. It's got written up again, and I cannot lose this job. So, you mind covering for me if you can? Because I'm going to be late for work a lot.
All right, Dale, what's going on?
Can you keep a secret?
Mortals, I present a lucrative opportunity for those who prove themselves worthy of the task. Many in the cartel are wagering on who are the greater combatants. Care to influence the outcome? Do not let the cartel down. We expect a return on our investment. Victory is clear. Our bargain is uphill. Victory is clear. Our bargain is uphill.
My directive has been...
Today, your cries of battle and the clash of your weapons will be heard by the Great Loa, and the fallen will join them in the afterlife.
It is time. I am finally updating and releasing my free Plater profile for Season 2 of The War Within. I just want to skip along for those of you that already have the free Plater profile, or if you're already sold and you just want to grab it ASAP, you'll be able to find my Plater profile inside my Discord, so I'll leave it as the first link in the description for you guys to click on. Jump inside the Discord, that'll take you to the Wago site where you can download it for yourself, and later in this video, I'll explain exactly how you can actually import that and take you through step by step how to get it. And as it's completely free, all I'd ask for you guys to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that way in the future when we continually update this Plater profile for every single season, you'll get live updates as to when that's happening, and we can go over all of the new features together. Now, I first released this Plater profile in Season 4 of Dragonflight, I believe. And since then, we have been updating it every single season for you guys with all of the main features, and we will continue to do that for every season going forward. This has also been alongside my new WoW default UI that you guys seem to keep asking about, so if you do want to grab that, again, inside my Discord will be the text string that you can just simply copy and paste into WoW, just as a quick side note. But yeah, in total, about 1 million of you have checked out my completely free total UI, which seems absolutely nuts. I cannot wrap my head around that fact. And never did I expect to receive the amount of love that you guys have given for me releasing my Plater profile. So I just want to say a big, big thank you for using it. So let's go over the main features then. So one of the main things I wanted to do, one of my main aims with this Plater profile was to continue to keep a super clean and minimalistic feel. I've always liked that sort of vibe, so I wanted to transfer that into a Plater profile itself. And I like to think I have a good eye when it comes to stuff like this. So, the main way that we did this was the removal of unnecessary debuffs and dots on the nameplates themselves. As you can see, as we scroll down the list here, this is a list of all of the debuffs or dots that we've removed from the nameplates, and this is just going to keep the nameplates looking super tidy, super clean. But honestly, the main reason for doing this is it just makes it infinitely easier for those dot classes to track their dots. For example, as you can see here, we've got Waning Twilight in the debuffs list that we've removed. So basically, whenever a Balance Druid has 3 or more dots on the target, the Balance Druid will then start dealing 8%, I think it is, increased damage to that target. But this doesn't influence the way you play the game at all. It doesn't impact your rotation in any singular way. You can also see that you've got this debuff active when you see 3 of the separate dots themselves on the target. That way you know that you've got Waning Twilight active. But regardless, for the most part, it's a random prop, and also, like I said already, it has no impact on your gameplay, so we do not need to see this on the nameplates. So we remove it, and that means that it's much, much easier, especially when you've got 20 mobs on your screen, to be able to see what mobs exactly have your Moonfires and Sunfires on them. They're the main dots that you want to be getting out. And the same goes for Chaos Brand here. Just another example that might be easier for some of you guys to pick up if you've never played a Balance Druid, don't really understand it. Chaos Brand, you're going to apply it, you're going to see it on the nameplates, but it just has 0 impact on the way you play the game. It's passively applied to everything, and you just do not need to see it on the nameplate. So that way, as the Havoc Demon Hunter, for example, you can see exactly what mobs have the Soul Scar debuff on them. With my Plater profile, you're going to see all the debuffs that you actually see, or dots, on the top left of the nameplate. But let's move over to the buff special tab here. Now, basically, I wanted to see all of the crowd control in the exact same spot. So with this tab right here, on the right side of the nameplate, and it's going to be a slightly larger icon as well, you're going to see all of the crowd control on the side of the nameplate. So that's going to be your stuns or disorients. Basically, whenever you see something on the right side of the nameplate, you know that the mob is being locked down in some way. Or it will also show you on this right side any purgeable or removable buffs, which will depend on your spec. So if you're a class that, like a druid or a rogue that can soothe, it will show a big icon on the right side of the nameplate with a red icon border around it. You can see the different color coding on the right side here, and that will just indicate that you can interact with the mob and actually get rid of that debuff or buff. Any buffs that cannot be interacted with, or maybe you're a class that cannot dispel the buff off of the target, will appear on the top right of the nameplate. So you'll have your dots and debuffs on the top left, the enemy's buffs on the top right, crowd control and any removable buffs on the actual right side of the nameplate. So that's how the nameplates are going to be looking. And with the way that I've set up these nameplates, it allows some free space on the left side of the nameplate, which I then use bigwigs. I'm not sure if you can do the same with DBM, but they actually have a countdown for the mob's abilities. So I know that if I want to see when the next kick is coming through, I'm going to look at the left side of the nameplate, and it's going to be like a countdown for when the mob's going to use Harpoon, for example. Let's move on to the most notable feature of this Plater profile then, and that is the color coding of the enemy nameplates. So, in Mythic Plus, this allows you to know exactly how you're going to be interacting with each mob even before you engage with the pack. And we wanted to continue to keep the color coding simple. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with too many different colors and you guys are going to have to memorize like 5 to 7 different colors. We stuck to the 3 that we were previously using, and I think it works really well. So as you can see at the start of Rookery here, we've got 2 out of the 3 colors showing. If it's a red mob, then that basically means that it doesn't really do anything. But let's start with the Warlock purple color for the nameplate. So this means that this mob is a priority kill mob. So this is any mob that you want to focus with all of your damage because maybe it's the scariest mob in the pack, maybe it has some unavoidable AoE or single target damage you cannot stop and it just continues to cast and maybe will cause a wipe in the end, so you want to get it down ASAP. Or maybe just simply it has more health than any other mob in the pack by quite a margin, so you want to kill it and focus all your damage into that so all of the pack dies at the same time and therefore your run is much more efficient. Sometimes these mobs will also have a scary kick as well, even though they're not labeled as a kick mob by their color coding. But the idea here is that you'll be focusing it anyway, so you'll see the card coming through and then you can just interrupt it there and then. And you'll know it's a scary kick by a different indicator that we'll cover in a second. But that takes me on to the kick mob. So we have Thunderers here. These are a kick mob, and every kick mob in Mythic Plus will be marked by a fuchsia pink nameplate. So these are going to be any mobs that are considered caster mobs and need to be interrupted, even if they don't necessarily have a scary cast. I just want to quickly clear up for any of you that might not know, when I'm saying it's a kick mob, it's a mob that needs interrupting with, for example, a counter spell just down here. So maybe this is a mob that you just want to dump your spare interrupts into, or it might be marked as a kick mob as well because it does have a scary cast. Now, the way we're going to distinguish between if a cast is scary or not is when the mob is casting, if it is a scary ability that is likely going to kill a player if the cast goes through, or maybe kill your whole group if it goes through, the cast bar of the scary cast is going to grow, flash, and glow orange when it needs to be kicked. This is going to very clearly highlight when you need to pick a mob because something scary or bad is going to happen if that cast goes through. Basically, whenever you see orange, you need to kick. There's also a script in my player's profile that shows the target of the card inside the card bar. So if this Thunderer is going to cast Lightning Bolt on Vest, it will say Lightning Bolt and then Vest next to it. So I know that even if it's not necessarily a scary cast, but I'm low and I see a Lightning Bolt going on me, then I need to kick that cast, otherwise I'm going to die. There's also one other mod that we'll cover in the mod section of this video later, but basically what this mod is going to allow you to do is look at the enemy's cast bar. You'll see if it's a scary kick, you'll see if it's not a scary kick, you'll see who the cast is going on, so all of that information is there. The last thing we need to know is if our kick is available. So a mod that we have with this player's profile, highlight the border of the enemy's cast bar in a green if your kick is up, so you don't even need to look down at your action bars. We'll cover that later though. And the final color code that we use for this player's profile is for any stop mobs. These nameplates are going to be a cyan color, and this is for any of the mobs that have abilities that cannot be kicked, but can or need to be stopped with hard crowd control like stuns, disorients, displacement. For example, a Hammer of Justice single target stun from a Ret Paladin. And much like the flashy orange enemy cast bar that we have for the kick mobs, for the stop mobs there will be a stop icon that travels across the cast bar as the enemy's casting the ability that needs to be stopped. So that is going to indicate exactly when you need to use these stuns on these mobs. So that is the 3 different color codes. We've got a Warlock purple for any priority kill mobs, we've got a Fuchsia pink for any kick mobs, and we've got a cyan color for any stop mobs. Again, I just want to reiterate that we wanted to keep this color coding simple and limited so it won't overwhelm any of you guys with a variety of different colors that you need to learn. I didn't want to use any colors for like frontal mobs, for example. I feel like frontals are very well telegraphed these days, so it's not really relevant to be highlighting a mob's nameplate with a color when you'll just be looking at the floor around you anyway and just dodge the frontal. It's easy as that, right? That being said though, there is one other color code that I'm thinking of adding. We've got a few ideas cooked up for down the line that we might be implementing, but one for now off the top of my head might be a Tank Buster color code just for the enemy's cast bar. Have its own separate color for that, so that way tanks know that there's going to be a scary Tank Buster incoming. Sometimes abilities that mobs hit the tank with aren't really that worrisome, so you don't want to overcommit your defensives to that when you could be saving those defensives for the big scary Tank Busters, and that will be marked out by my player's profile in future updates. And on the topic of tanks, you might be wondering how this color coding works in terms of gaining or losing aggro. As a tank, I'm not going to be caring about which are a caster mob when the rest of my group is getting attacked because they've ripped aggro and I just have no idea because the mob's nameplate is still pink. Fear not, we've got you covered. We understand that this information is much more vital than seeing if a mob is a caster mob. So basically, in terms of threat, green equals good, regardless of your role. And more importantly, it's always going to override the color coding if there is an issue with your threat. So, if you're a tank and you have aggro, all non-color coded mobs will be colored green, green equals good, and color coded mobs will stay as a color they are color coded. But if you do start to lose aggro, the mob, even if it is color coded, will instantly turn yellow, indicating that you're losing aggro on that mob. And once you've fully lost aggro, it will then turn red. So you know that you need to taunt that mob back. And then as soon as you've gained aggro back, the nameplate will return to its green or color-coded color. And then for DPS and healers, it's going to work in reverse. So if you don't have aggro, the mob's nameplate is going to be green or color-coded. As soon as you start to gain too much aggro, the nameplate is going to turn yellow. And then as soon as you rip threat from the tank and you're the target of that mob, the nameplate is going to turn red, which means run. Let your tank get aggro back on the mob. And then as soon as they do, it will then return to green or the color-coded color. So I just wanted to cover that for mainly all of you tank players out there. We do get a lot of questions asking about how the threat works and overriding the different color codes and if it even does that. And yes, it does. And then to link all of the color coding back together to support this player's profile and its color coding, and just to generally help you guys out, I've also released a Mythic Plus cheat sheet. This will be one of the first links in the description, so go and check it out if you guys want to. But this cheat sheet basically lists every important mob in all of the current dungeons for Season 2, and they are all color-coded to match my player's profile in-game, making a really smooth transition between the two. The cheat sheet will also highlight why these mobs are important with a little description on what they do and also how to deal with them. So if you do have two monitors, you can be playing the dungeon on one screen and then on the side monitor you can have the cheat sheet. They're all broken down into their separate dungeons and they're also listed in a chronological order of how you're probably going to play them throughout the dungeon. So literally as you go through the dungeon, you can just quickly glance over to your other screen to look at the cheat sheet and remind yourself of how you're going to have to deal with this mob. I want to give a shout out to Seb for putting the cheat sheet together, and also he is the other mastermind behind this amazing Plater profile. We created this Plater profile together, so don't just thank me, thank him as well. And then to expand off of the cheat sheet even further, if you guys want an even more detailed breakdown of every single mob or boss mechanic explained in Season 2, then you'll probably want to check out my complete dungeon guides that are on my YouTube channel. Subscribe. So those are the core default features of the Plater profile, and now I'm going to quickly cover the scripts and mods. I'm not going to go super in depth on every single one of these because I do already have a video covering every single one in detail. So if you want more info on them, I'll also leave the link to that video in the description of this video, but we'll cover some of the main ones now. So at the top here, we have the cast frontal cone. I don't really know how this ended up inside the Plater profile. It just spawned in one day, but I loved it, so I kept it. Basically, this replaces the name of the frontal on the enemy's cast bar and it just says frontal on it. You don't need to know what the mob's frontal is called, whether it's gut slice or whatever other frontal we're talking about. It just needs to say frontal so you know to be on your toes and ready to dodge. Next, to link back to the color coding that we were talking about earlier, we have important kicks and important stops. So this important kick script just basically makes the enemy's cast bar flash, glow, and grow orange when the scary kick is happening. And the same happens for the stops, but it will have this little stop icon that you can see here in the cast bar as it completes its cast. Next, we have Invalidate Unit, which will basically turn the enemy's nameplate grey when it's not worth attacking. Think the first boss in Cinderbrew Meadery, when it goes through its happy hour phase and it takes basically no damage, it's going to turn the nameplate of the mob grey. Then we have the Pandemic Flash. I really hate how ugly those, as you can see even on this script, it's got that horrible, ugly, flashing border when you need to refresh your dots. Instead, to go along with a minimalistic and clean theme, basically what this is going to do is as the dot turns into its pandemic window, it's going to turn the text of the duration of the dot remaining into a yellow, and then as it's falling off, it will turn red. So you know as soon as you see your dot text yellow, that's when you need to reapply your dots, or as a last resort when it goes red. Moving over to the mods then. Now this is where we're not going to cover all of them. The main ones that I do want to cover here, like we talked about earlier, is the Interrupt CD Indicator border. So what this is going to do is it's going to highlight the border of the enemy's cast bar green when it's casting when your interrupt is available. This means that when you're scanning the nameplates of all the enemies that you're fighting for a scary kick or just a normal kick that's going off, you can immediately see whether you're able to kick the mob or not without having to look down at your action bar a week or then look back up to see if the mob's still casting. And we needed to keep this as a border because obviously if it turns the whole enemy's cast bar green, you're not then going to be able to see whether it's an orange scary kick that's going through because it's just going to be completely covered by the green color showing you that your interrupt is off cooldown. Another nice feature of this mod in particular is if your interrupt is coming off of cooldown within the enemy's cast, it will have a blue spark marked exactly on the enemy's cast bar where your kick is then going to come up. So you know that for the remainder of that cast, your kick is going to be available so you can have your finger on the trigger ready to kick it so your group doesn't wipe. Now, we did have a problem with this mod in specific with Warlocks in the previous seasons. It was something to do with Grimoire of Sacrifice. Because that sacrifices your kick pet and then you have your own kick, it wasn't registered or coded properly in this mod. I have since then fixed that. The only issue is, if you're playing Grimoire of Sacrifice, you may as well just not have this mod active because it doesn't work. I will continue to look for an actual fix for this. Hopefully it's something as simple as just typing the spell ID in. But I just wanted to come clear and be super transparent with that for you Warplanes out there. But at least you can now use this mod or have it active and not brick the whole Plates profile just because you're a Warlock main, right? There are plenty of similar mods to this, so if you guys are a little bit savvy with Plater, then you can simply remove this mod and go and grab your own if you want to replace it. But at least this mod works now because I do think this is one of the coolest parts of the Plater profile. Some of the other mods then, we have a dots reorder. Basically, I have gone through and added weight to all of the debuffs or dots that each spec has, so that your Vampiric Touch as a Shadow Priest is always going to be the furthest left on the nameplate, followed by the Shadow Web Pain, followed by the Devouring Plague. This is just going to make you much more consistent and efficient with your dot management because you know exactly where you're looking to see if your Vampiric Touch is still active on the mob. It's all in the same kind of general area, but you know that you're always going to be looking at the far left of the nameplate. We have an M+ renamer mod here. Basically, for the majority of mobs in the game, only the second name is relevant. The first name is usually like a group of mobs or like where they're located in the dungeon. So we only need to see the second part of the name because that tells us what kind of mob this is going to be alongside the color coding. Quick example of this is in Mechagon. You've got the Mechagon Tinkerers and Mechagon Defenders in the same pack. They're both caster mobs, but they do very different things. We don't care that they're Mechagon anything. We just want to know if they're a Tinkerer or a Defender so we know exactly what we're looking out for, whether it's a tune-up or a Giga Wallop. And then the last mod that we have is priority-based scaling. What this mod does is it reduces the size of any of the nameplates where the mobs are basically smallies or don't have any interactions. We don't really care about the mobs at all. Think first boss in Darkflame Cleft, we have Old Waxbeard surrounded by millions of menial laborers. So what we've done is reduce those menial laborers where Old Waxbeard is and easily target him as well. So that is all of the features of this Plater profile explained for you guys. Now we'll move on to some frequently asked questions. So how to install the Plater profile then? That's definitely going to help. First, you'll need to head inside my Discord. The link will be the first link in the description of this video. Inside the Discord, we have a full breakdown of how to exactly import the Plater profile, and you can also ask any questions you need to inside there. But you'll eventually end up on the WAGO page, and you'll come here and click copy import string, head over to WoW, then you're going to type in /Plater into your text box, then you're going to come to profiles, you're going to click import profile, you're going to paste the string that you get from WAGO into here. You can basically just ignore the text that's in this box. It's going to work for you. Rename the Plater profile if you want down here, maybe best Plater profile in the world, and then click OK. I'm not going to do that because my Plater profile is already up to date, but that'll import it for you. You might need to do a /reload. And then the only other thing that I want you to do is come to options, interface, scroll down and make sure that you have stacking nameplates enabled and not overlapping nameplates. Next up, Vesp, I don't like some of the scripts or mods that you're using. How do I disable them? Go to scripting and modding in the Plater settings, and then you literally just untick them. If you want to re-enable them, then you'll tick them. Vesp, I want to track this specific debuff, but you've removed it from the nameplates, and I think it's relevant. How can I see it on the nameplates again? Come to the buff tracking tab in the Plater settings. You want to scroll down. Let's say you want to see Growl on the nameplate. Just click the X and you'll see it on your nameplates again. If you want to remove another debuff that you deem as not relevant to be seen, you can either type the name of the debuff on the nameplate into this box here and then click by name and it will add it to this list. Or what I'd probably recommend you to do is find the spell ID of the debuff on Wowhead and then paste that into here and then click buy ID, because that way you will get the exact debuff that you're looking for. Sometimes, as you can see, there's multiple different spell IDs for the debuff. We do get a lot of questions about people asking about changing the color of a nameplate when a specific debuff is active. For example, Rupture or Vampiric Touch, people want it to change color so that they can see exactly what mobs have those dots active on them. Not something that I'm really looking to add to this Plates profile. For one, it will mess with the main feature of the Plates profile in the color coding. If Vampiric Touch turns the nameplate yellow, it's going to completely override the color coding of the nameplate, and you're not going to know what each mob is going to do. It's going to probably look ugly, and also I'd have to find a specific color that is not already being used. There might be a way to do this in the future. I mean, never say never, right? Where maybe we turn the border of the nameplate a different color to indicate that you've got a specific dot on it. But it's probably, again, going to look ugly, not clean. So I'm not sure if that will ever be something added to this Plates profile. Feel free to add it yourself, though. Another frequently asked question I get is about the personal resource display. When you guys are importing my UI, a lot of you guys want to have the exact same UI as me, including my personal resource display. But when you import Plater, for some reason, sometimes it overwrites the Blizzard personal resource display with the Plater one. All you need to do to make it look the same as mine again is untick module enabled if you do have that enabled. Best, I love the Plater profile, but I'm not a fan of the colors that you use. How do I change that? You'll come to the NPC colors and names tab. If you want to turn the priority mobs from a Warlock purple into, let's say, a Death Knight red, then you'll simply click on the select color drop down menu here for the specific color that you're trying to change. You'll find a new color to the Death Knight, and you'll hold shift as you click it, and that will change every single Warlock color code into a Death Knight red, whichever color you choose. On the topic of colors, Best, I love your Plater profile, obviously, but I've got my own and I just want to import your colors. That's absolutely fine. I get it. You can either import my Plater profile temporarily and click export and then copy this text string into your own Plater profile, or jump inside my Discord. Again, the link will be the first link in the description, and I already have this text string in there ready for you guys to copy and paste. Next up, maybe you want to add or remove some of the important kicks in the game. Maybe you think that I missed one. I didn't, but if you think that, it's fine. Go to Wowhead, find the ID or the spell ID of the specific cast that you're looking to add, paste it in here in the scripting tab, click on important kicks, and then paste it into the add trigger, and that will add it to the bottom of this list. And then the exact same goes for the imported stops, but they're already all in there. Maybe you guys want to add some more clarity to the mob that you're targeting so that you can see it in amongst a group of 20 mobs. Maybe you struggle a little bit to see which mob you're exactly targeting. Go to the target tab inside Plater settings. And to be honest, I just have a play around with this tab, but the main one that you're probably looking for is target bracket indicator down here, and you can add some arrows to the side of your target, for example. But yeah, I just have a play around with this tab. Now, that is it for the frequently asked questions that we'll be covering in this video. In my previous Plater profile video, I did answer a few more. Again, that will be linked in the description if you want to check any of those out. But we also have a dedicated frequently asked questions channel inside the Discord that I'm going to continually update for questions that we seem to see more and more of. So jump inside the Discord and hopefully that will answer any questions that you guys do have. But if not, you're already then inside the Discord, and we have a lovely community in there that are willing to help out anyone. So please do not hesitate to jump in there. There is a questions channel in there specifically for this, but ask in any of the channels. In fact, I want to encourage it. I want to encourage feedback as well, because that is what is going to continue to allow us to develop and better this Plater profile as we move through the seasons. So please feel free to hit us with any suggestions you guys do have. Some of the features that you see inside this Plater profile are from you guys giving us feedback and suggesting things for us to add. But that is it. That is my free Plater profile for Season 2 of The War Within. If you guys do want to show any form of support for it being completely free, then I'd really appreciate you subscribing to the YouTube channel and dropping a like on this video. It would really mean the world, and I'd say good luck for Season 2. But with this Plater profile, you're not going to need it. Catch you guys later.
get this.